New information is coming in based on a post by Ryan Reynolds that has a lot of people talking, including insiders who are saying, yeah, there are some problems in Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's marriages.
Did Ryan Reynolds just tell us that he's getting divorced, or are they divorced already?
All right, let's get into this. There's real trouble brewing between Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
When Jimmy Fallon asked him that, Ryan responded like this.
Will we maybe see a Deadpool 4?
Oh God, no. My wife and children will divorce me, and
The kids will divorce
Jimmy,
you?
I have no prenup with any of them.
You can't
I
let
will
that.
be capital B broke, and in turn, probably then doing Deadpool 4.
Yeah. So we cannot make that happen.
And a lot of it traces back to one number tied to Blake's legal fight with Justin Baldoni. She is seeking roughly $8 million in attorney fees. That figure is a matter of court record. What people are doing with it, since that's mostly speculation, and I'm going to try to keep those two things separated as we go, because this story has a habit of blending the two. Blake is pursuing this reimbursement after her case against Justin wrapped up without the dramatic courtroom payout a lot of people expected. And once that $8 million figure surfaced, the obvious question became how a legal fight ended up with an attorney bill in 8 figures, and why a settlement without damages still came with a bill this large attached to it.
How many couples survive in Hollywood to begin with, and what these two people have been through, and they have 4 children on top of 2 careers. The odds are not great, let's put it that way. And as you know, Blake's legal bills are enormous, and we all know who paid for those. Can you imagine Ryan sitting there having to pay for all her legal bills? And then when they get a divorce, she obviously wants half of everything that he has.
According to the unsealed filings, Blake had 2 firms behind her, Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, with Michael Gottlieb heading up the work, alongside Manat, Phelps, and Phillips, where Ezra Hudson took the lead. Court records show 82 people worked the case and logged more than 7,000 billable hours between them, which alone tells you how many attorneys, paralegals, and support staff this single dispute pulled in. Justin's side has formally challenged the request, pointing to what it calls a steep gap between Blake's bill and a comparable fee request from the New York Times in a separate matter. Blake's ask is reportedly around 44 times larger than that comparison figure, and her team has to justify that gap in front of the judge rather than in the court of public opinion. Break down the hourly rates and the total gets easier to explain, even if it doesn't get easier to stomach. One attorney billed over $2,000 an hour, another upward of $1,500. Wilkie Farr's share allegedly landed near $4.5 million, Manat's closer to $3 million. And stacked together, that's a bill bigger than a lot of people will see across their whole working life. One line item that stands out in the filing itself, not speculation, is roughly $173,000 paid to a firm called GBX Holdings for tracking online sentiment. Billed around $250 an hour to monitor what people were saying about Blake and Justin on Reddit and TikTok. Paying that much to watch public comments sounds almost funny, since anyone can scroll those platforms for free without spending a dime. There's a real argument that professional monitoring does more than casual scrolling, that it can involve structured data, sentiment scoring, and trend tracking across thousands of posts rather than one person's gut read on the comment section. But plenty of people reading that invoice online skipped past that nuance and reached their own conclusion instead.
A lot of people noticed how the two of them are not hanging out together anymore. They're never at any public events together. And when they show up, it's all this fake performance for the paparazzi to pretend that they're still in love while taking digs at Justin Baldoni. I think in a sense that's what kept them together and strong together while this legal feud was going on, because they had an enemy in common.
That Blake's team spent a fortune to confirm what the internet was already saying for free, which was that public opinion had turned against her. That detail is where the paper trail ends and the fan theories pick up. Word going around on Reddit and TikTok has Ryan genuinely furious once he saw that invoice. The idea being that a guy who's spent years building businesses around a carefully managed image doesn't love paying six figures for something that looks, on its face, like reading the comments. Nobody's confirmed his reaction. That's the internet filling in a gap nobody with a microphone has actually addressed. The $8 million demand was already a lot, but early January brought a fresh gut punch. Something like 181 pages of Ryan and Blake's private texts and emails got unsealed for anyone to read. And that's a documented development, not a rumor. Ryan built his public persona on being the laid-back, self-deprecating guy. The unsealed messages reportedly show something different. Someone agitated and deeply hands-on behind the scenes. Once those private messages went public, the gap between Ryan's public image and the version of him in those texts became hard to ignore. The tone read as personal, not procedural, for what was supposed to be a professional dispute. Ryan was said to be rattled by how entangled he'd become in Blake's case, while Blake reportedly questioned why he put things in writing that could later be used as evidence against their side. The messages themselves are real and sitting in the public docket. Who said what to whom about them afterward is coming from unnamed sources and read between the lines takes, not statements from Ryan or Blake directly. Ryan's publicity team did put out an actual on-the-record response, though, casting him as a husband who'd gotten emotional while defending his wife, which is at least something you can point to rather than infer. A big part of this couple's brand has always leaned on their circle of famous friends, the constant photo ops, the group vacations, the sense that they ran with Hollywood's tightest, most exclusive crowd. The unsealed records show that circle getting pulled directly into the case rather than staying safely in the background. Ryan allegedly emailed Matt Damon and his wife, pushing them to check out Blake's edit of It Ends With Us, calling it a zero-pressure ask. Blake reportedly joked back that she was adding zeros to that pressure. On its own, that reads as playful. As a court exhibit sitting inside a legal filing, it reads very differently. Matt Damon reportedly responded politely and offered to help however he could, and his name ended up attached to a legal battle he was never actually part of, simply because his email address showed up in discovery. Other big names, Ben Affleck and Bradley Cooper among them, reportedly got looped into the same or similar email chains, which suggests this wasn't a one-off ask, but part of a broader pattern of leaning on famous friends right as the dispute was heating up. The most talked about fallout involves Taylor Swift, a longtime friend of Blake's and someone who was reportedly close with her kids as well. And here, we're squarely in theory territory. When Taylor married Travis Kelce, fans online noticed Ryan and Blake weren't there. And the read that spread fast across TikTok and Reddit is that Taylor felt her friendship had been used as leverage in a fight she never signed up for. Nobody's confirmed a falling out. It's one absence at one wedding, and the internet did the rest. Back in December 2024, Blake went the formal route in a California filing, accusing Justin of making the set an uncomfortable place to work. A documented legal filing that generated major headlines and significant early public sympathy for Blake. Justin countersued, alleging false claims, career damage, and an attempt to seize creative control of the film away from him entirely. What started out as a fight over one film turned into a fight involving careers, reputations, and a claimed damages figure running into the hundreds of millions. After roughly 2 years of litigation, Blake settled what remained of the case and dropped her pursuit of additional financial damages, which on its face looked like the saga was finally winding down. That's where the fee request came in. A judge allowed her to pursue reimbursement under a California statute her attorneys argued applied, on the theory that Justin's conduct left her no choice but to spend heavily on her own defense, and that he should therefore bear that cost. That pivot, from allegations to legal bills, is where public sentiment noticeably shifted online. And it happened fast. The narrative moved from a debate over who was right toward a debate over how enormous the legal spending had become. And for a lot of commenters, that shift changed how they viewed Blake. From someone standing up for herself in a difficult situation to a wealthy celebrity asking a court to make someone else cover millions of dollars in costs. That's a real shift you can trace across comment sections and reaction videos in real time. What it means for her marriage is a different question, and one neither Ryan nor Blake has actually answered.
Ryan Reynolds did seemingly put a hidden message in his post recently, because he didn't actually share anything the day she went to the Met Gala, but then last night he did. He shared a picture, reshared a British Vogue of her, and then he posted this snap of the two of them. But the song that he chose has made people go, an interesting song to pick. Here you come again, just when I've begun to get myself together. You waltz right in the door, just like you've done before, and wrap my heart around your little finger. Here you come again, just when I'm about to make it work without you.
Marketing is the other documented flashpoint, and it's one that played out mostly in public rather than in sealed filings. Ryan owns Maximum Effort, which handled promotion for It Ends With Us, and the campaign quickly turned into one of the rollout's biggest liabilities. Critics felt the tone didn't match a story centered on domestic violence survivors, and that criticism was loud and immediate rather than something that surfaced later in a lawsuit. Blake leaned on her press stops to plug her own hair care line and beverage brand, which drew further criticism for distracting from the film's subject matter at a moment when audiences expected a more serious conversation. Maximum Effort put out a promo clip with Brandon Sklenar, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman that leaned almost entirely into jokes instead of engaging with the film's heavier themes, and that clip is widely cited as the moment the tone-deaf label really stuck to the whole rollout. Ryan and Blake publicly pointed to Justin's team as fueling the backlash, which at least is a claim made on the record, even if it's obviously a defensive one. Whether the marketing disaster actually caused fights at home comes from outlets citing unnamed sources, so treat it as the going theory rather than something either of them has said themselves. Then there's the Pound Ridge, New York property, a sprawling estate Ryan and Blake bought back in 2012 for roughly $5.7 million, with plans to turn it into their forever family home. It's, according to reports, still not finished as of 2025, more than a decade after they closed on it. Between December 2025 and January 2026, 5 construction companies reportedly filed legal claims over unpaid work involving steel, custom woodwork, and an elaborate copper roof. The couple paid around $2 million to settle those bills, which suggests the underlying issue wasn't a lack of funds so much as a question of why those invoices went unpaid to begin with. One person in the construction trade, quoted anonymously, noted that it's a tight-knit world where word travels fast and contractors remember exactly who pays on time, which means this detail could keep resurfacing in local reporting regardless of what happens in the main case. The insurance side of this is entirely court record, and it's arguably the most concrete recent development in the whole saga, since it doesn't rely on unnamed sources or fan interpretation at all. Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios went looking to their own insurers to cover the costs, and multiple companies have pushed back through their own filed lawsuits rather than press statements. Harco National Insurance Company took its case to federal court. Its lawsuit built around correspondence from Blake's attorney back in November 2023 about requested changes on set, arguing that detail may not have been properly shared when Wayfarer's policy got renewed in 2024. If that argument holds up in court, it could affect whether Harco has to cover Wayfarer's defense costs at all, though that's the kind of thing that'll only get settled in a filing, a deposition, or an actual courtroom proceeding. QBE has separately argued some claims may fall under media-related coverage that's subject to policy exclusions, which could let it deny payment even if the underlying claim is otherwise valid. New York Marine and General Insurance has argued in its own filing that Blake's claims don't qualify as the personal and advertising injury its policy actually covers. None of these have a final ruling yet, so anyone telling you confidently who's going to end up footing the bill is guessing. So here's where things actually stand, laid out plainly. On the record, an $8 million fee request a judge has to evaluate, a fee structure that includes 6-figure social media monitoring costs, 181 pages of unsealed texts sitting in the public docket, a marketing campaign that drew immediate and documented public backlash, a settled contractor dispute worth roughly $2 million, and an active, multi-party insurance fight across at least 3 companies. Still unconfirmed, Ryan's private frustration over the invoices, exactly who blamed whom at home, the Taylor Swift falling out, and whether any of it adds up to real trouble in the marriage itself. Neither Ryan nor Blake has said that part out loud, so keep that in mind next time a new headline about them drops. What was originally framed as a strategy to recover Blake's legal costs has instead become the through line connecting nearly every other controversy in this story. The marketing backlash, the unsealed messages, the friendships, the unpaid contractors, and now a stack of insurance disputes still working their way through separate courts. None of those threads exist in isolation anymore. Every new filing tends to drag the older ones right back into the conversation, whether that's fair to Ryan and Blake or not, which is probably why this story refuses to actually die down. So here's what I want to know from you. Based purely on what's actually documented, the fee request, the unsealed messages, the marketing rollout, the insurance fights, does this look like a couple weathering an unusually public legal storm together, or does it look like something more fundamental? Did this pairing ever strike you as the real deal, or was there always a little static under the surface? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear where you land on this one. Thank you so much for watching. If this one kept you hooked, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Clout Fallout so you don't miss the next update on this story.